Behdini Beginner's Course. Today's class is number 15, lesson 6 of our Behdini Conversations and Storytelling book. We're going to focus on section F. And section F is the review of ergative sentence construction and the verb habun haba or habin haba in the present tense. So this is page 135. I'm focusing on the Dehuki book. The Zaho book is very similar, just one small difference. All right, so let's review ergative sentence construction. Remember that in ergative sentence construction, the subject is in the oblique case and the object is in the direct case. And the verb agrees with the object. This is the weird thing. So the verb has to agree with the object. It's in the present tense. You know that all the past tense transitive verbs are ergative, but this verb, habun haba or habin haba, is always ergative in the present tense. Okay, so let's look at some examples right here. Min hoshkakahe, or in the Zaho dialect, min hoshkakehe. I have a sister. So the subject is oblique. You say min. You could have any subject that you want, and it will not change the verb. Hoshk is sister. That's your object. And in this verb, the formula is on the next page. Look at the formula on the next page. So here's the formula on the next page. So you could have any subject that you want. For example, min, and then hosh, for your direct case, object. And then because it's a feminine object in the Dehuki dialect, you're going to say hosh, oh, not that one. You're going to say hoshkak ah. And that is the formula. Regardless of why it's the formula, that is the formula, and then you end it with the verb hey. Now, as you can see from this chart, I have organized the chart by singular and plural objects. So this is different from the way most of my charts are organized. And the reason for this is because it's doing ergative sentence construction, and whatever is your object here determines if it's the plural or singular verb. So everything above this dark line is going to have hey. So here's our dark line. Everything above this dark line is going to have hey if it's a statement, or heya if it's a question, or Nina if it's negative. Okay. And everything below that dark line, if the object is, if the sentence is a statement and has a plural object, like sisters, you're going to say hain. If you're asking a question about plural objects, you're going to say hana. And if you're making a statement that's negative or a question that's negative, you use ninen. All right, there are examples down below, but let's go back to page 135. All right, here can I get it? So min hoshkakahe in the Dehuki dialect, or min hoshkakehe in Zaho dialect. I have a sister. That's a statement. So you use hey. And because you're using hey, you have to use the uk also, when the meaning is a sister. And it's not so common to use a or an in Kurdish, but with this verb, they do it all the time. Okay, now let's say you don't have a sister. You don't have any sisters. So they're going to put it now in the plural form. Min hoshk ninen. I don't have any sisters. And we don't actually use the word any, but that's the meaning in English. Min hoshk ninen. And there's no ending on hoshk. It's just simply hoshk. All right, now let's talk about brothers. They're going to ask the question. Tabrayak heya. Do you have a brother? They might put it there. They might put the yak there. They might just say tabra heya. And if you have two or more, you could say min and then the number do. And then because of the formula, you have to say 8 pain after the number of brothers that you have. So fill in the correct number to make it true for you and practice that. Now let's look at the question about children. So in this case, they're looking at someone else. They're pointing to someone else and they're saying, how many children do they have? 1. Chand bachik. How many children? And then because it's a question, they simply have the henna. 1 chan bachik henna. Or you can make a statement. And you don't have to say 1. If they've already asked the question, you just say how many. Say kich, uchar, kur, and then because of the formula, you have to say 8 pain at the end of the word kur. And you could say men say kich, uchar, kur, 18. You can have any subject that you want there, and it's not going to change the ending. Why it's doing that. All right, in part 2, let's look at the formula here. The verb to have or exist is irregular in the present tense. It has ergative sentence construction and unique negators. The blank line in the formula below represents the object of the sentence. So right here, that blank line. That represents the object of the sentence, which is usually a noun or a pronoun. Because of the ergative sentence construction, the oblique subject can change without affecting the verb. So these subjects are interchangeable because it doesn't matter as far as the verb is concerned. You can have min, ta, we, we, wan, wa, whatever you want. You can have that. You can have a name, Shirine, Daudi, Fatmai, Nizari. Doesn't matter as long as it's in the oblique case. It's a 6-part formula and it has to do with statements, questions, and negatives, and then singular or plural. So you just simply memorize the formula and then you go from there. Plug in your objects and go from there. So with this verb, the verb always agrees with the object. The object noun, whether it's masculine or feminine, has the indefinite marker uk plus izafe in statements. So when it's singular, that would be this one right here. There's the uk plus izafe. But it's only for statements. It's not for questions, and it's not for negatives. Questions usually have a different verb than the statements. So what's the question? Your mouse isn't working very well. I'm getting a new computer. It's still coming. The question is Heya. The negative is Nina. Here we go. Heya and Nina. Or Hannah and Ninan. Those are your negators. And then back to this chart, which is also in Book B. It's one of your appendices. And I just recommend with this verb that you work with nouns for your objects that you're very familiar with, like qalam, bachik, kitab, khoshk, bara, nav, like these things here. So that you're not struggling to know what you're talking about, because it's enough of a struggle to just practice this formula. And also, you know, use the words themselves on cards or just go across the line. Just remember, it doesn't matter what your subject is. You can use any subject that you want to. That's not going to affect the verb. The thing that affects the verb is the direct case noun or pronoun object. So anything up here is going to be used with singular objects, and these are your verbs. And anything below it is the plural. So practice making some sentences, write them down, practice saying them, and then take them to your language helper. Use these formulas. Zocoli formula is a little bit different. Very similar, but slightly different. A little simpler. And of course, we have the examples at the bottom. Okay, I'm going back to the Dahuki. We have the examples at the bottom. Practice these examples with the audio recordings. That'll help. On the next page, again, work with your audio recordings. And just, you know, after you go over it, just let those audio recordings play in the background while you're ironing clothes or washing dishes or shaving or getting dressed in the morning, taking a little siesta in the afternoon. Just let these phrases sink into your head over and over until you're sick of them, because then they will become automatic for you. And the more you hear them correctly spoken by native speakers, then when it comes time to use it, you'll catch yourself if you use it wrong, or if you use it correctly, you'll affirm yourself. Oh yeah, I said that right. That was good. And that'll encourage you. So let those audio recordings play and just listen to them. Go over these with your professional audio recordings there. On the next page, you have to fill in your verb. You can check your answers in Appendix S. And then, of course, turn to Appendix E, which is the same chart as I showed you above, and practice using these things. Then the suggestion there in the bottom of the page is to refer to food vocabulary on page 103 and substitute similar words for the bolded words to write new sentences down here. And then later practice all of the sentences with your language helper. Continues on to the next page. And then at the bottom, you have the question. So, you know, above, you're asking questions, making statements, continuing on with questions. Now you have to write some of your own, change the object, negate the sentence. And then in part G, it's the simple reading. So your teacher is going to read the story portion from the story of Zengubeng. Dit dergahe vakriya kasagnal mal ninen. Kasek Lamal Ninen. Sorry, Nina. They saw the door open. Someone at home doesn't exist. No one was inside the home, is what it literally means. And so here you're looking for the negated present tense form of the verb habun haba, which is Nina or Ninen. So it's there in that little sentence. Check your answer in Appendix S. Practice, practice, practice. As Dave says, practice makes permanent. So make sure you're practicing correctly and get it affirmed with your language helper. And then all will be well for you and you'll get this verb. All right, that's all for this week. We'll see you next week. Hang in there with all your language learning and all the practice. It will be helpful. Right. Be sure and let me know if you have any questions. Bye for now.